Carry the Wall here, and this is Bridging the Week for March 30th to April 3rd, and today is April 6, 2015. Good morning. Two household names in the food industry, Kraft Food Group and Mondelez Global, were sued by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission last week for allegedly manipulating wheat futures contracts traded on the Chicago Board of Trade during 2011. However, the CFTC chose to charge the firms both under its traditional tools to prosecute manipulation, as well as its new tools to prosecute allegedly manipulative or deceptive devices. In addition, the Securities and Exchange Commission filed an administrative proceeding against the operators of a number of collateralized loan obligation funds for misleading investors, and the operators sued the SEC right back in federal court. Many of our friends outside the United States are still not back to work today because of Easter Monday. But for the rest of us, let's get going. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission filed a lawsuit against Kraft Foods Group and Mondelez Global, claiming that trades they entered on the Chicago Board of Trade for the alleged purposes of hedging were in fact entered for the purpose of artificially lowering prices in the related cash market. This activity, claimed the CFTC, was a violation of federal law and the Commission's rules. According to a complaint filed by the CFTC in a federal court in Illinois, by November 29, 2011, the companies purchased 3,150 long Chicago Board of Trade December 2011 wheat futures contracts, which was equivalent to 15.75 million bushels, or approximately $93.5 million US dollars worth of wheat. The companies did this, said the CFTC, with the intent to depress the price of wheat in the cash market. As a result of its activity, the companies realized US dollars 54 million in profits, said the CFTC. The Commission accused the companies of engaging in traditional manipulation and attempted manipulation through their activities, as well as engaging in a quote-unquote manipulative or deceptive device or contrivance, a new prohibition enacted since Dodd-Frank. Under law, the former allegation requires proof of intent and an artificial price, among other elements, while the latter does not. It will be interesting how the court handles the CFTC's use of its new authority, as many, including me, consider it too vague. The CFTC also charged the companies with violating speculative position limits in connection with wheat futures positions they held on 5 days in December 2011. Although the companies had a hedging exemption to cover their cash needs that was effective for 1 year from December 1st, 2010, they failed to request renewal of the exemption until December 28, 2011, noted the CFTC. Oops. CME Group and ICE Futures US sanctioned a number of traders for documentation issues related to exchange for related position transactions and for transferring positions among affiliated accounts through wash trades. In one transaction, for example, CME Group fined EOX Holdings $40,000 US for executing 8 EFRP transactions between July and November 2011 and incorrectly reporting them as block trades. The firm allegedly also failed to maintain required records to support such transactions. In another example, JP International and Vroom Shadari, a trader for JP, were sanctioned in aggregate $90,000 US for a number of wash trades on the Commodity Exchange Inc. and the New York Mercantile Exchange between JP accounts from July 2010 through March 2011 in order to liquidate concurrent long and short positions and avoid delivery. The CME Group revised its audit trail requirements for all entities certified to connect their front-end order routing systems with CME Globex. Although the new requirements are intended to be effective April 20th of this year, firms will not be required to comply with the new requirements until April 1st, 2016. Under CME Group rules, entities certified to connect a front-end order routing system to Globex through the CME conduit known as iLink Gateway must create an audit trail of each message entered into the system. Clearing members guaranteeing the connections are required to maintain or cause to be maintained the electronic audit trail for at least 5 years and have the ability to produce data in a standard format requested by the exchange. The Securities and Exchange Commission commenced administrative proceedings against Lynn Tilton and companies she owns and controls, claiming that since 2003, the respondents misled investors about the declining value of assets in collateralized loan obligation funds they managed. According to the SEC, the funds known collectively as the Zohar funds made loans to distressed companies. Subsequently, the distressed companies performed poorly and generally missed or only made partial payments on interest obligations. However, charged the SEC, Ms. Tilton directed that the loan's valuation be reflected as unchanged since they were originated, despite the fact that Tilton companies were obligated to provide investors in the funds accurate valuations, quote, reflecting the financial position of each fund, end of quote. Had the respondents correctly valued the funds, the respondents would have been entitled to less management and other fees, and investors would have been entitled to greater control over the fund's activities, says the SEC. Separately, the respondents filed a lawsuit against the SEC in federal court in New York City, seeking to enjoin the agency from proceeding with the administrative proceeding and instead require it to proceed against respondents in a federal court. Respondents claim that the administrative proceeding is unconstitutional. The Financial Industry Regulatory Authority sanctioned 3 firms for not adequately supervising the issuance of consolidated reports of their financial holdings of their customers. Registered representatives at the relevant firms issued the consolidated reports that included valuations of certain investments FINRA permits brokerage firms to issue, and these reports include both the customers' positions at the firm as well as away from the firms. However, these statements must be clear, accurate, and not misleading. The 3 firms, H. Beck, LaSalle Street Securities, and J.P. Turner & Company, agreed to fines an aggregate of U.S. $610,000 to resolve these disciplinary actions. And finally, in a story that does not seem appropriate for the religious holiday season of Passover, Easter, or Tomb Sweeping Festival in Asia, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission sued Wesley Brown, Edward Rubin, and Maverick International Inc. in a federal court in Florida for committing fraud, claiming that the respondents solicited persons to participate in a pooled investment vehicle to trade futures contracts, but instead took their money for personal use. According to the commission, Mr. Brown used his position as an associate pastor to solicit funds from congregants in his Florida church. After respondents used the funds for their personal use, they falsely told the investors that their money had been lost in the 2012 collapse of Peregrine Financial Group, when in fact they had stolen it, claimed the CFTC. The CFTC alleged that 31 persons invested $2 million in the illegal scheme. Well, that's it for this week's issue of Bridging the Week. As always, there's more information in each article, and more articles on the article version of Bridging the Week on the website. Check it out. Until next week, this is Gary DeWall. Have a great week, and ciao!